feel very out of breath today. I don't know why. Oh, I think it's because I'm anemic. I need to get that sorted out. You know, I was thinking about that actually. I think that's why I'm so scatty. Is it, you know, it's a joke and everything. I'm fine with it, it's fine. I am scatty. And it's funny, that's funny. It's not funny right now, obviously what I'm saying right now isn't that funny. But, you know, it's funny. Oh, you're scatty, you know. But I think it's probably because I'm anemic and I need to actually medically sort this out. Anyway, thank you to Soul Glow Activator for allowing me to use the music. The reason that I thank him at the beginning of every podcast is because once I uploaded about 6 of my very own songs that I had written and sang on, and I came back to the platform about 2 years later and they'd been deleted, and the message that I got was, your files have been deleted because you did not own the rights to this music. How very dare they? So I don't want that to happen to this. I don't want it to, you know, come back one day to listen to my podcast and then it all be gone, you know, because I don't own Rob Thomas or whatever the thing will say. And that's why I do it. So thank you very much, Soul Glow. By the way, check out some Family 5, Force 5. If I can tell you the name of the artist, that would help. Check out some Family Force 5 music. They are really weird. They mess with genre. You know, they do house music, they do, house music, clubbing music, they do rock and roll. I just realised I can't name genres very well. But anyway, they Zombie, one of my favourite Family Force 5 songs. Sweep the Leg, classic Family Force 5. Get on your feet, that's glorious. Dance Like Nobody's Watching, that's what I meant. Dance Like Nobody's Watching. Hey, do you know what? I've discovered that if I drink coffee, it's exactly the same as alcohol. If I drink alcohol, you wouldn't know the difference. You wouldn't. I don't get sleepy on alcohol. I get really woo, yay. So that's kind of good because it means I can drink, you know, if I'm in an office situation, I can just drink beer. Phil Reid is my next guest. He is a very entertaining comedian, and I mean that word. When I say it, I mean it. He is entertaining. And I think that's why he stands out to me, because that's what you want when you go to watch a comedy show. You want to be entertained. So yeah, I think he's going to do really well. And I mean, he's already doing really well. Doesn't need me to say it. He's also a ventriloquist, and he's particularly good at that as well. So, you know, listen. Here he is.
I was born in Chester Hospital. I grew up in a little town just outside of Chester called Ellesmere Port. Chester was just a hospital where we all went to, or everyone in that vicinity went to, so I was born there and then grew up in Ellesmere Port. Lived there all my life until 2006, when I then, just after starting to try and get into comedy, I then went and moved on to the holiday parks and did a few seasons on the holiday parks, 2006 to 2009. And then 2009, I then moved down to Brighton because a girlfriend I was seeing at the time, ex-girlfriend, I got her pregnant. And then, yeah, moved down to Brighton. My dad passed away in 2008, and my mum is still here, and she still lives in the family house. I say they're together. Like, they never split up when my dad passed, so they were, yeah, together right till the end. From my dad's first marriage, even though we don't look at it as like half brothers or sisters, it's all like one. But from my dad's first marriage, he had my older sister and my brother. And then from my mum and dad, there was 3 of us. There's a sister, me, and then a younger sister. So there's 5 of us all together.
That's a big family.
Yeah, relatively big, yeah.
When you were little, did you already have like comedy coming out in your character?
I don't know. Did I? No, I don't think. I was always a clown. I've always been a clown. I've always been, you know, like, I've never tried to be the funny one. It's just always been like, I don't know, like maybe stuff I've said or whichever, because I'd always get the, you know, oh, you should be a comedian. I remember the first joke I think I probably ever made, and this was accidental. My older sister, I was just saying, like, Nikki, my older sister, she got pregnant when I was 6, and then obviously when I was 6, anyway, then my nephew was born, and I remember my nan and granddad and my uncle asking me how did I feel about, you know, being an uncle at the age of 6, because it's a bit of an unusual thing. And I went, yeah. I said, I feel really old being an uncle at the age of 6. I said, it won't be long before I'm a granddad. But I didn't know the biological side of it, so I just said it, and I remember it getting a laugh. And I was like, and in my head I was like, oh, I'm being serious. But now I'm older, I'm like, it's just one of those. So, but no, I think I have always, like in school, drama especially. If I was ever, I've always loved drama. Comedy was never really a route originally that I wanted to go down. I wanted to go down the acting side of things, and I tried to do like the acting, and I was always like, always just auditioning for school plays and everything. And then, then I joined like certain out of school drama groups and everything, and and then comedy I kind of fell into later on, but it was one of those that, but when I do like an improv in my drama class, then I'd always make it funny, or if it was nice because I'd always like try and make it funny and do like mess around with it and still make it productive, but mess around. I'd always get people going, oh, can we work with you? Can we work with you? Which felt quite nice because it was like, but anything serious, I was like, oh, it's boring. But then I have, when I've looked back as well, like there's been quite a few good serious plays that I've done as well. Not plays, but like performances that I've done.
Being in secondary school?
Yeah, it was actually, yeah, because when I was a kid, because we never had much money growing up, so it was one of those, any hobbies that we had could never be like too much. So when I was a kid, I remember I got into doing judo. And I was quite enjoying it, and I was doing all right. And then there was a crossover, because then from judo I then started doing football. And then it was like, so I was doing judo and football, but because, as I say, we didn't have much money, and there was, 3 of us, because Nikki and Ali, my older brother and sister, they're obviously old enough to move on and do their own thing. So from the 3 of us, we never had much money, so we could never do too much. And as I say, like with the crossover, so then my dad said to me, you need to decide either judo or football. And I picked football. And then a little bit later on down the line, same thing happened. I got into drama, and I was doing a drama group, and then I joined a drama group in Manchester when I was about 13, 14 maybe. Joined a drama group there, and then same thing happened. You need to choose, because they couldn't afford to run me to Manchester every week, then pay for my tuition, and then obviously run me back and forth. And I was working as well. I say I was working like little paper rounds, milk rounds, or anything that I could do to help from the age of 11, because it's always been, I don't know, people say work ethic, but I've just found it natural. And yeah, so.
How long did you do judo for?
Judo. I got to my yellow belt, and got to my yellow belt, and
Technically, we could have a judo fight later, because I did the same. I did it for about 7 years, but I didn't really bother going to competitions, so I think I got to orange.
Yeah, I know. I could have a judo fight. I've never been propositioned that before. Yeah, we could have a judo fight. Cool. Yeah. What's the hip toss called? Is it? Agoshi, that's it. Agoshi. I remember with the judo class, because we were trying to promote more students. We took it to school, and a few of us were in the school, and the sensei was like Big Dan and all that, and he was just throwing us round, because he was showing how to break fall. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Break fall. You slap the mat, and we're doing that, and he was throwing me round. He was like Hatoshi me, and just whatever. Just I won't say suplex, but like because I was breaking really well. He was kind of testing me. I mean, my first competition, I won a gold, and then I think I got 2 bronzes after that. And as I say, I got to my yellow belt. I didn't get any further than that, and then and then I gave it up for football.
When you were at school, what were you like? Sort of, did you get on with everybody? Were you like a class clown?
Yeah, I'd say I was the class clown. I didn't get on with everybody, but I didn't care. If that makes sense. Like, I wasn't like one of these that gave into peer pressure and was like, oh yeah, I want to smoke because you're smoking, or anything. None of that really bothered me. I didn't give into peer pressure. I did what I wanted. I still do it now, to be fair, like sometimes a bit selfishly, but I always did what I wanted to do. If I was out with my mate Mike and he wanted to go and do something and I didn't want to do that, but I'm going to go and do that, or I'll see you tomorrow then, or something like that. It was just one of those. So I never really followed suit, but I think because of that, I was never a loner, but I was never like coolest kid in school. I was probably popular because people knew, like, you know, knew Reedy or whatever.
You didn't want to go into comedy, you say, but looking back, can you think of any comedians that you think influenced you when you were quite young?
Oh yeah, my dad, he was the influence for me to get into comedy, and I remember he'd always watch like the comedy because comedy was a lot more on TV than it is now, really. I mean, you know, now you've got, you know, you're live at the Apollos and, you know, the odd bits here and there, but it's not as popular as it used to be back, you know, when Variety was big. But I remember I used to watch my dad, just sit there watching my dad watch the likes of, I don't know, like Mike Reid, Frank Carson, Jim Davison. Freddie Starr was a big one. He used to watch a lot of Freddie Starr, and just watching him watch them and then laughing. I never understood why he was laughing, but I used to love watching him, you know. And then I kind of, there was a few things that I used to watch with him, and you know, I used to find like quite funny again, like Freddie Starr, because he's very visual, Freddie Starr as well. And I used to love ventriloquists, so Keith Harris and Orville and Cuddles, and I used to love watching all that on TV. And I was about 7 or 8, I think, and I remember asking him for Christmas, because we always used to get like a VHS tape, like a Christmas movie, and I remember asking him for a comedy one. And I opened it on Christmas Day, and I got Lee Evans' Ultimate Experience, which from his tour, went like his early days, he combined like clips of all of them. So there was like the Different Planet tour, Her Majesty's Theatre, and the West End. So those 3 were combined onto this one. And I remember watching it, and I used to cry laughing, and I just, because of how visual he was, and I knew swear words were naughty, and he'd say them. I never understood the jokes. I never understood, you know, it was just the way he said it, and you know, the movements he'd do with it, and it again. But then my mum and dad used to the roles reversed, because they used to love watching me watch Lee Evans because of how much I used to laugh at it, and I think that was like massive for me. And since then, I fell in love with comedy then because it was different, and I fell in love with comedy because of the way it made me feel, and the reason why I love Lee Evans now. I mean, I've only ever met him once, and that was at a book signing, but if I could have a podcast with him, that'd be amazing, just to, I don't know, but just to like thank him, probably, just to, because, you know, I do what I do. I now do comedy, and it all, you know, when you trace it all back, see the way he made me feel. If I could make anyone feel half as good as he's made me feel, then I think I'm not doing too bad, you know.
So when did you make the decision to start doing comedy?
I was doing, like I was saying to you before about the transitions. I was doing drama group, and I was in Manchester, and I've never said no to a challenge, never. And even now, if someone says, "Can you do this?" It's one of those, like, you know, "Can you ride a horse?" Yeah. And if I fall off, I'll learn to ride it, or anything. I've never said no. And I remember we were doing a showcase. It was only an internal one. There was no casting directors, and that, because this drama company in Manchester was Lane Management, and they were quite big, and they've had the likes of Tina O'Brien, who was in Coronation Street, Lisa Riley, and lots of like big northern actors go through the school and everything. The showcase was only for like parents and the agent, and you know, a couple of others, nothing big. David Johnson, my tutor, said to me, he goes, "Oh, will you go on and compare it?" And I said, "I don't know what compare is." I was already in 2 plays. I was in a play called Zigga Zagga and Stags and Hens. I was in 2 plays, and I was playing 3 different characters, because Stags and Hens, I was one character, I was one of the drunk lads. Zigga Zagga, I was a teacher, and then I was like one of the football lads, because that's about a football. I don't know if you've heard of Zigga Zagga. It's a football play, so again, it was something I could relate to. But he went on, he said, "Will you go on and compare it?" And I said, "I don't know what comparing is." And he said, "What you've got to do is, whilst we're setting for the next play, is you just go on and talk to the audience." And I went, "Yeah, okay."
How old were you?
I think then, was I about 15, 16, I think? Because I wasn't driving, because I remember my dad I passed my driving test when I was 17. And I remember, I must have been about 16, 15, 16, yeah. And because I was waiting for my dad, and the buzz it gave me, again, just fueled my comedy more, because I'd go on, and, you know, he'd just say, like, he gave me like a few tips, like, you know, I'll just go on and just, you know, ask if you can kiss the person next to you and all stuff. And And I was like, okay, again, not knowing anything, trying to just blag my way through it, as well as get ready for the plays and everything. And yeah, I just went on, and because I wasn't hiding behind a character, because I was just me, and I wasn't hiding behind a character, it made me feel like different. Like, because when you do a play, you'll say a line, but the line's funny, the line's written for you. All you've got to do is deliver it. Whereas when I did that, and as I say, I was getting laughs for what I was saying off my head, nothing written down, and I was getting laughs from people. And then after we did the showcase, there's none of this, when it's amateur or that sort of thing. It's not like you go through a stage door, you all go out the same way, in the same way, out the same way. And I was getting people coming up to me like proper I remember someone, like, I'll say Scatty, because it was like, I don't know, like in proper trackies and hat, and he was like, all right, mate, and like proper come up to me, and he was like, oh, are you on TV? I said, no, and he goes, oh, you will be. He said, you're hilarious, you're hilarious, you're dead funny, you've made my night and everything, and we've all loved you. And it just, the buzz I got off it, and off the laughter. And I remember as well, at the end, when you're saying a night to him, thanks for coming, hope you've enjoyed the show and everything. Again, because any showcase previously, I've always watched from the wings. I've never been one to sit in the green room with the rest of the cast or anything and waiting to get called up. I watch the wings and watch the audience, and I do that now with the comedy. And so I watch it from the wings. And when I've watched others, they've just gone, okay, thanks for coming tonight. And I thought, how can I do this different? And this was only something minor, but I thought, how can I do this different? And I just went on, and I was like, thanks for coming, please, for myself, for the tutor, for the director, for the cast, for the crew, please give them all a great big round of applause. They gave a massive round of applause, and I went, right, from the tutor, from myself, from the cast, from the crew, this is from us to you. And I got on my knees, and you do that hail down bow. I did that, and I was doing a few hail down bows, but the weirdest thing I was coming up, and it was like paparazzi in front of me, because camera flashes would just go, and as I was going down, I was like, wow, this is crazy, because all I was doing was just thanking them. And then I went out, and then, as I say, I got that guy come up to me, and then a few others come up to me, and it was just like, what? And it was just, that's when I got the buzz. I went home like proper buzzing, and that was the first buzz that I've ever had from comedy, where I've gone, okay, this is maybe something that I could like look at doing. And then I had a meeting with my management at the time, that lane management. I went in and had a meeting, because they only do TV, and then I said, how do I get into comedy, or how do I get into like presenting and that sort of side of it? And they give me the number for a comedy club in Manchester, well known, Frog and Bucket in Manchester. And if you ever read any like Peter Kay's, Jason Manford's autobiography, Johnny Vegas, they'll always talk about the Frog and Bucket. It's massive. John Bishop as well, that's where he started. And they gave me the number there, and I tried it when I was writing. I must have been about 16, because I remember writing but never having the balls to do it. And then when I was 18, I think I did my first gig, and then I was doing all right, but my mind went blank. So it was one of those, and because there was, again, no character, even though at the time I was calling myself Phil Linggood for some unbeknown bizarre reason, calling myself Phil Linggood, but it was still me. And my mind went blank, and you're meant to survive 5 minutes, because it's a gong show. You're meant to survive 5 minutes, and I survived 3.5. And then it wasn't a case of that they thought I was crap, that they carded me off. It was just because it started to get awkward. And there's a lot of gong shows that get scrutinised now, but I think it's wrong. I'm all in favour for gong shows, but so I did that, and then I tried, but then I lost my nerve. I lost my nerve, because I was going blank, and it doesn't matter how many times I'd stand in front of a mirror with a hairbrush and tell these jokes and everything, because the biggest mistake that a lot of comedians do, and we've all done it, I know I've done it, and I'm sure you've seen it when you've been to see live comedy, is when you write a joke, and you may have done it yourself, when you write a joke, you always write a laugh for some reason. You'll go, oh, I'll say this, then they'll laugh there, right? Which is a vital, massive mistake. It's a big mistake, because when they don't laugh, because an audience will laugh when they think it's funny, not when you tell them, if that makes sense. Yeah, so then when you go on and then you don't laugh, you're like, oh, but that's not how I rehearsed it. Well, of course you didn't, because you rehearsed it in front of a mirror with a hairbrush, with your mum's hairbrush in front of a mirror. And in your head, you're at the Apollo, you're at Wembley and stuff like that. You're not in like a club or with a live audience, so it is, you know, different. So then I kind of, like, as I say, like, lost my nerve. Yeah, I got to 3.5 minutes, and then they just, because, that's because it's a gong show, is they have like 3 different audience members have a card. So if 1 card goes up, you're all right. If 2 cards go up, you're still all right. If 3 cards go up, then they'll gong you off, and then you just go. And then, you know, but if you survive the cards, then you go through to like the clap off at the end, and then try, you know, it's not like a big thing. For a confidence booster, it's a massive thing. But initially, you know, it's not like, you know, I walked away with £1,000 or anything. It was just one of those, and yeah, it was one of those. As I say, the first time I did it, I got gonged off because I got gonged off because it was getting awkward. Like, I'd forgot my lines. They could see that I'd forgot my lines, and if you're doing all right, the audiences can be quite forgiving, and even a few of them like, go on mate, go on, you can do this, because I think they were enjoying it, which is obviously, you know, from a first time, which is, you know, again, a testament. But it was just the whole, initially I've never been stood on a stage with a microphone looking at me, because like I say, when you do the plays and when you're in a production, it's not just on you, it's on you if you're talking, but then you've got like a stage full of other people to take it away from you, whereas, you know, with stand-up you're on your own, and it's like, okay. And I think I definitely cracked under the pressure and crumbled, and then lost my nerve, which is why then, like I said previously about going to the holiday parks, because then I went to the holiday parks then just to try, and I was only initially going to go for 1 year. I was going to go for 1 year and just try and get over that fear of being stood on a stage and having eyes looking at me with a microphone. And basically, in my head, I thought, well, I'll go for a year just to learn how to waffle shit. Because if I can waffle, then I should be all right. And then I say 1 year, 1 season it was meant to be. So what went from 1 season ended up being 4, because after my first season, I did all right, and they offered me presenter, which has never been, as far as I'm aware, was never, at the time anyway, was never known for you to get offered a presenter's position, because as a presenter you have to present everything. You have to do the adult stuff, the kids stuff, the game shows, the little things, the big things, and it's like, okay. And I thought, well, I'll take it as a challenge again, because I'll never say no. And then the third season I went back, because I got offered my own venue, so I had to run it all. So I had to, you know, make sure everything was in order.
How old were you by then?
That was 2008, so I was 22, because that was the year I lost my dad. Because that's, I mean, like, work-wise, I had a really good year, but then obviously personally-wise, it was, you know, a bit of a massive kick in the head, like. But but again, I took on that challenge, because I thought, well, I'll take it on. You know, it's a challenge, and it can only better me, and, you know, anything else. And then when I went back in 2009, I went back because there was no jobs. I come back because you only go for a season, so you go from like March to November. So you got like December, January, February where you're not working, but there was no jobs, and I couldn't get a job. So I got offered again to go back, and I just took it. And then that year was when I met my children's mum.
So what made you carry on going with the comedy? What made you go back into stand-up?
I think it's when it's in you, it's in you. I think it's just one of those that you can't. It's not a job that you can just. I mean, people say that, oh yeah, you know, I fell into comedy or whichever. Like I fell into comedy, that side of it. But it's got to be something within you that's been triggered. You know, it's not like you can go in, interview to be a comedian or anything. I don't find. I think, you know, you can either do it or you can't. And it was something that was within me that I've always wanted to do. And when I was with, as I say, the ex-girlfriend, the boy's mum at the time, she didn't really want me doing it, and she was never really that supportive as well, which is always difficult. And she didn't really like comedy. You know, she used to say to me, I don't really like comedy. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to, you know, scrutinise you for not liking comedy. And then she just kind of made it difficult for me to do it. Like, you know, I'd try and go and do it, and then it'd be like, oh, you know, you're going away again, you're going away. And it's like, I'm going away to try and follow my ambition and to follow my career. Because again, from 2008, I was, when I lost my dad, we were all there when we lost my dad, and we all watched him pass, right? Now, I don't, you know, I hope no one's ever seen that, but on the flip side of it, probably one of the most life-changing things that's ever happened to me, because when you watch someone pass over like that, someone so close to you as well, who a massive influence. Not even, I mean, for me, my dad was obviously a massive influence, but not even that. I think it could be anyone. But when you watch something like that life-changing, you can see how flimsy life can be. It's there 1 second and then gone, literally within a second. It changed my whole perspective. And like even now, I have the view of, well, it's my life. I've got one shot. I'll do it. And I would try and do it, and I'd always have arguments, or we'd always, not me, but like we'd always have arguments about me doing it. It just became like, you know, okay. And then I kind of took the easy life because, you know, I had the kids and everything else. 2013, I got asked by a friend to go and do like some tours and that with him, because when I was doing like the odd gig, like I said to you, like I wasn't doing it full time. It was just like here and there, nothing to really write home about or whichever. But we did this gig together in Bognor. His name's Stephen Foster. We did this gig together in Bognor Regis, a charity night, and we both got on really well. And then he contacted me and said, oh, you know, that he does a tour and everything else. And I was like, okay. And he goes, would I like to be a support? And I've never met him before. I'd never seen him before. But again, as a challenge, I wasn't going to say no. You know, and you think as a tour or as a support, you need, what, half an hour, at least half an hour. I only had like 10, 15 minutes really that I was doing regularly. And again, as a challenge, I thought, well, do you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. And, you know, and then I just threw, it wasn't great, but I just threw this stuff together that got me by. And we were going like round venues, and the whole process of Phil Reid, when I started it, was it like, because I know you said like that you yourself, you do character comedy. It was kind of like a character comedy, and this is why I think character comedy is probably harder than initial stand-up comedy, because with character comedy, I mean, I call myself Phil Reid, because in my head I had the vision of, you know, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Phil Reid. And then my entrance music or my intro music would be James Brown, Feeling Good, like, I feel good. And it was just like, okay. And then in my head, I thought, yeah, that's brilliant. But in reality, it was, you know, like I said, so I stopped doing that early on because there was a comedian that called bullshit on it. And I was like, okay. So, yeah.
In what way did they do that?
I did the gig as Phil Reid. It was that Beat the Frog again in Manchester, and I did it. I think I'd just been on stage, and I come off stage, and then he went, "Is your on the mic in front of everyone? Is your real name Phil Reid?" And instead of me going, "No, it's Phil Reid," I went, "Yeah," and he went, "That's bullshit. That's bullshit." And then, you know, and then I quickly realised that, I mean, if you've got a comedian an established comedian saying that to you quickly learn and go, okay, yeah, maybe I need to get rid of it. And also as well, the other part of me, I thought, well, maybe I'll use my name, you know, my actual real name, because I thought it'd be quite nice to then establish myself as me. And if it goes anywhere, then it can be on my name, on my, you know, persona, on my work, on my efforts, instead of like, kind of like I said before, kind of hiding behind a character. If that makes sense. So that got dropped early on, and then I was going in as Phil Reid from probably only, Phil Reid was only there for about 2 or 3 gigs.
Something I realised sort of halfway through my life, probably if this is halfway, was that I never actually had that judo fight with Phil Reid. So the next time he's on stage and I happen across him, I will just attack him, and then that will be done, you know. Come back and listen to part 2, where I will be talking to Phil Reid about other stuff, more other stuff. I didn't really plan what I was going to say, obviously, so obvious now. Come back and listen to part 2.
I got a paycheck.